Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Broxburn Sidings. It's the terminal for a branch line in Queensland. The layout is running HON 42. In other words, it's a 3'6" gauge. And the layout runs on DC. It's been to a number of exhibitions and conventions around the state and is very popular. At one end there is a strange looking gadget. It's actually a storage turntable with 3 tracks. A train runs from the turntable onto the layout and shunts the cars to their required spots. You may notice a different type of coupler on the end of the cars and the locos. This is called the Jackson coupler, and it comes from the UK. Very handy on this type of layout. A small electronic magnet beneath the track is used to uncouple the cars. Operation of the turnouts is at the back of the layout on plungers. You will see posts with yellow markers on top. This just marks where the little magnets are located. They're about the size of a cigarette. So nice small diameter hole, which is a little ballast over the top and you won't know it's there. We also have steam on the layout. Everything seems to run very smoothly and very reliably. It does the switching. I didn't inquire as to what they were using to get the switching in the right areas, but as you can see, they're having fun. The storage turntable is at the back of the building where the loco is going in, and to get to the turntable he goes down the side of the building, out of sight. Most of the state of Queensland runs on 3'6" gauge track, mainline, sidings, branch lines, heavy duty ore trains, even high speed tilt trains, which are very smooth once you're in them, all on 3'6". The loco is stopped alongside the white post with a yellow marker, which indicates the uncoupler magnet. And off it goes to get the next car. The diesel is finished switching for the day. And we'll connect up to the other end of the train, back out onto the main line and take it off into staging. Welcome to the Great Northern of Bob Best MMR. This HO layout replaces the old N-scale layout, also Great Northern, also running DCC from CVP. The layout is still under construction. Most of the buildings are scratch built and have yet to be mounted in place on the layout. It's still fun to operate rather than put a train on and run it round and round and round and round. Construction on the layout is now stopped as Bob will be moving from his current location in the Blue Mountains down into onto the lowlands to the west of Sydney. A lot of this is because of the available bushfires coming through the area, and it'd be safer down on the flatlands rather than up in the mountains. Fires have come to the back fence a couple of times. All the logs have been cleared from the log buggies, dropped into the log pond. The loco is now getting coupled up, ready to haul the empties back up the hill to where the trees are being cut and loaded.
Real broken.
The loco is turned and is ready to run back around its train for the climb up to the logging area, where it will exchange the cars for loaded cars. The loco has to be at the back for safety reasons, and as you can see, it's a fairly steep climb up there to the staging yard. The loco will now bring the loaded cars out onto the departure track and put the empty trains on the back track, which is the arrival track, and then get ready to go back down the hill. A climax will come down from the logging camp, take the empties up to the logging area to put some more logs on. And the mallet is connecting to the loaded cars and will take them down the hill. Welcome to the Mandalong sub. Just as the Amtrak Superliner is coming down the hill behind the paper mill. This is the N-scale layout of Trevor James. It's DCC running with CVP. Running past the grain elevators, and plenty of cars waiting to be switched by a later train. The train is switching the area near the stockyards. A few other industries there. Plenty of cows there today. The system is drop a car off, pick up a light car. It's very difficult for the majority of people to see the numbers on the N-scale cars. So if you've got 3 box cars and a reefer, you drop them off and you pick up an equal number. A pair of PAs pulling the Southern Pacific passenger train up the hill. It just passed a bunch of rail fans waiting on the hill for such an opportunity. What you see here is just 1/4 of the layout. The rest is being scenic and having some tracks changed, and will be in the next video of this particular layout. There's always things to do on a layout. A pair of Fairbanksmoor switches are now switching around the small town with the grain elevators and plenty of other small industries to keep it busy for a while. A heavy freight is approaching the back of the paper mill. A triple header consists on the front. The bonus for today is the Union Pacific passenger train coming down the hill at the back of the paper mill. A group of photographers halfway down the hill will be very happy. The passenger train is followed by a freight. Some beautiful paint schemes on some locos these days. Magnificent layout, Peter Sutton, Rio Grande Southern, HON3, the Digitracks. Beautiful modelling, just blends in with the scenery very, very well. This is only one section of the layout, the rest is still under construction. tape this layout, I've used definitely gaffer tape for the day. So I've got a bit of music to cover background noise, but not to cover the locals. Now we are down to Adelaide in South Australia. Like many of the good layouts in South Australia, this one is run on DC. The structures are different to the rest of Australia. You see by the corners of the brick buildings they have a different identity. So you always find out where you are by looking at the brickworks when you're in Australia. The yellow loco is the 800 class, same as New South Wales 48 class. And for those who really want to know, it's an Alco 251 inline 6. These locos are the 900 class. They are identical to the New South Wales 44 class. And for those who are really interested, they're powered by Alco 251 V12s. Some of these were broad gauge and some were standard gauge. South Australia is unique in having 3 gauges. The main line from one end of the state to the other is standard gauge, and now the new line up to Adelaide is standard gauge, but used to be 3'6". A number of the smaller lines around Adelaide are 3'6", and stuff coming in from Victoria runs broad gauge. And very interested to see some of the track combinations around the place. Welcome to Steve Chapman's ON30 layout. It's a small town going off of a branch line. There's plenty of people milling around and making plenty of noise. There were people outside the train room who were doing the same sort of thing, so I left the background noise on, put a little bit of light music on for you. The layout is in a single car garage, so there's not a great deal of space between the sections, especially when a few people try to car shoot, so I could not use a tripod for this lot. Excuse the shaking from the hand of camera.
Easy to play now, aren't they? It doesn't get easy.
So it works like a good driver. Brilliant.
I'm out of your shot, Tom.
Yeah, you're okay. This beautiful British prototype layout has been to a number of exhibitions across the southern states. That's South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. It runs perfectly, and there are a number of unusual situations like the helper engine on the train going through now. Those veggies look very, very inviting, especially this weather. LMS unusual version of the Garrett. Plenty of trains running, and I love the private owner wagons with all the different names down the side. What I grew up with. The layout is housed in Adelaide, and there are a lot of top quality British layouts in Adelaide, and none of them run DCC. Interesting. Here comes the very interesting Garrett. LMS were the only ones that I know of that ran the Garretts in the UK.